Right, welcome back guys, Vision Hero Boy and Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm going to be doing another comic book review for one of my favorite books, Rednck issue number 10 by Donny Cates. Now if that's something you're interested in, something you like, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell icon, that way you won't be able to miss any more of my future reviews on Rednck or any other comic reviews I do on my channel. Now let's begin. So we start off this issue with the reveal that Phil has survived. Now, as we know in previous issue, he crashed his car into another police car, I think it was, and it exploded, and everybody presumed he died. However, I did not believe that. I actually thought he survived that, so I know a lot of people probably were surprised to see Phil alive, but for me, I had just a gut feeling that he didn't die. I just feel like, in my opinion, unless you see the body actually die or, see something in that confirms they're actually dead, then there's still a possibility that I could be alive. So I always thought that Phil could be alive, so I'm glad he is. And he's been arrested by the cops and he's being interrogated by this police officer, or maybe it's a detective. I don't really know actually what it is, but I know it's just one of the authorities. It's probably like the FBI or something, but that's beside the point. But he's being interviewed by them, and we get some information about his backstory in this issue, which I really like. Now, I want to mention this quick here because I'm probably going to mention it later on in the story. Now, for those of you who know, I really like the book Kill or Be Killed, and they did a similar thing a couple issues back. I think it was like issue 7, where they did kind of more backstory on Kira, and I really hated that issue. However, I think in this scenario with Rednck, I think they did it well and did it better in this story, because in this story, even though you're getting background to Phil and Evil in this issue, you're still seeing what's going on with the Bowmans, them being trapped. You're still getting their story. When they did it in Kill or Be Killed, you just got Kira's story, and then like a tiny glimpse in the Dylan story at the very last pages. So I really like how they did it here. I think it was such a great kind of way to give these characters backstory. They're not as important as the main family, the rest of the Bowmans, but they are kind of essential. I like that we got to learn more, and it did, and what their backstory did, which differed from Kira's backstory, which I liked better, is it gave more depth into the Bowman's backstory, gave more depth into their fight with the Landry. So I really like how they did that here. With Kira's, it just felt like it was out of nowhere. Felt like this story took a halt and went in a total different direction out of left field. So I really like how they did it here, though. I think it was smart, way better executed, and I like what they did with the story. So, like I said, we get more backstory to Phil, and we find out that he was a army medic in the Vietnam War, and we find out when he returned home that he was trying to help his father run his ranch or his farm or whatever, and his father ends up dying from a heart attack, and he needs to get money, to keep the farm going, stay afloat. And he goes to the bank, which lo and behold is run by the Landrys, who, of course, being Landrys, they don't give him the money. So he kind of probably hits this low point. He's living in his truck or his van, I forget what they said. And he's just kind of, like I said, hit this low point. And he finds a young Slap who had been looking for food on another farmer's land, I'm guessing. And he's been caught in a bear trap, I think it was. And he brings Slap home because he's a good person, and he brings on his way. He is bitten by Slap. Now, again, I like that they added this into this issue because it expands more on the vampire ideology, shows how the vampire ideology works in this story, and I really love that. So, because the detective asks when he mentions he was bit, like, why aren't you a vampire? And he says, well, they need to drain you all of your blood in order for you to become a vampire. So I like how, like I said, I like how they expanded on the ideology of that. So he brings Slap home and passes out on the porch, and we get to see young versions of JV and Grandpa, and they bring him inside. And he even says that usually they'd probably kill me right on point for, just being on their land. But since they brought home their son, they offered him, a deal in return for bringing Slap home. So they give him a deal, and they burn down Landry's bank, and that's probably what led them to be the priest that we know of in this story. So I like that. Again, I really like that they expand more on the Bowman and the Landry's backstory, which is really cool. So after that, we see then the cop asks, "Well, you got your deal. So why did you stay with them?" So it's revealed through more backstory that one night him and Meredith were out in the field. Now this is interesting, also given what Father Landry said about Perry is well, at least for me, maybe Perry is Phil's daughter. I don't know. That's my theory. But what were they doing all alone out in the field in the middle of the night? That's a little suspicious to me, but maybe I'm just looking at something that's not really there. But moving on, they end up in the field and the Landrys end up surrounding them. Meredith tells JV to run and get JV. And as he's running away, we see the Landrys burn her alive. And I really like that because it shows the backstory of their feud with the Landrys and between the Landrys and the Bowmans. What caused Meredith to die? And again, this is where this issue struck gold, where the Kill or Be Killed issue was weaker, because this expands on not only the backstory of the Bowmans and Phil, but also showing what happened with them, showing more backstory, giving more information. Whereas the Kira one-shot issue, as I like to call it, just showed more about Kira. Dylan is our main story, and yes, Kira is a supporting character, but we didn't need a whole issue just developed to her and what's going on in her life. This worked because it gave us more backstory to the Bowmans and the Landrys and their feud. So I really like that. And I really like what they did there. I thought it was such a strong issue because of that, in my opinion. Then after that, the detective moves on from Phil and asks him about the partner, Gabriel, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'm probably not going to be able to, but aka Evil, and we get backstory on Evil, and again, this is what they did really good here, and it's revealed that, he fought in the Iraq-Afghanistan war, like he said earlier, and he was a prisoner of war, and they tried to, make him turn against his country, denounce America, and I really like that, and I really like how they said he was able to escape, and he, was stabbed multiple times, shot, and crawled back to camp, had to go through surgery. He died on the table and was brought miraculously back to life, and had to have a machine put in him, to keep him alive, and I really like that. And I really like that because because a lot of people I had talked to said, oh, it's just his experiences made him stop talking. But I always thought that, when they mentioned he fought in war, that he was, a prisoner of war and, got tortured, and that's what made him stop talking. And I like that, how they, tied that together, and that is the real case. And it wasn't just he was traumatized. I feel like that was a little bit weak. However, with the story here, I feel like I like the story, but at the same time, I feel like it's a bit over the top. I feel like they try to go a little too over the top with it. I mean, yes, you hear these stories sometimes about these people surviving this kind of thing, but I just feel like, I don't know. This feels a tad bit over the top, but maybe it's just me thinking that. And then the detective asks, so that's, so why do they call him evil? And, because she thinks, because he's killed a whole bunch of people. And Phil says, no, it's because, he got stabbed, shot, died on the table, and is like a living person without no pulse. That's why he calls him evil. And when I first read that, I felt like that's a really cool thing. I like what they did with that. But again, like with the story background, I feel like, I don't know. Looking back after the fact, I feel like it's a bit over the top. I feel like, I don't know, it's cool, but it's also, I don't know, it also comes off a little cheesy in a way. It's just, I don't know, I'm 50-50, it's not like I hate the idea of it, but I'm not 100% excited about it either. It just felt like, okay, that's cool, But, I like I said, I like what they did with his backstory, and like how they gave both their backstories in this issue instead of separating them. And again, I really like what they did, and like I said again, this, again, helps the story along, especially with how they make his story go along with what Evil is doing right now in the story, which I'm going to get to right now. So, like I said, I like how they had Evil's backstory going on at the same time as he's rescuing the Bowmans from their current circumstances. So he returns to Bowman's hideout. He goes in for the tunnels, and he cuts his own arm and gives Perry some blood to make her stronger due to Landry's sedative. And then he writes on a letter, talk for me, because, he can't speak. And she says yes. So he goes over to Bartlett and informs him that, Phil's been arrested. We need to go rescue him. And Bartlett, of course, as you can imagine, says, "No, I'm not leaving here without the boys." And Phil kind of gets mad. And he's like, "Come on, we gotta go save him. We'll come back or whatever." And Bartlett's like, still says, "No, I'm not leaving here without them." And at this point, Evil decides, I'm gonna leave. He just decides to leave Bartlett down there, and Bartlett's yelling at him, "Untie me, help me, untie me, and then we'll go rescue him." And Evil realizes he's lying. He can see through him, and he goes upstairs. And as he's leaving, Bartlett yells, "You work for me." And Evil responds, "No, I work for Phil," meaning he only works for him. And I like that. And so he goes upstairs. He writes a cross on one of Father Landry's goons, and it burns the goon, and he freaks out, because he doesn't know the rules of the vampires. And Evil then frees Seamus and Greg, and writes on a letter, Phil's been captured. And this is one thing I find interesting that he tells him. He tells him that Bartlett told them to help him. Which I wonder if that's gonna have ramifications since he lied to them, and Bartlett didn't really tell the boys to help him. So I find it interesting. So the three of them then go and fight their way through the goons and head out to the front porch. And meanwhile, at the police headquarters, the detective is telling Phil, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna get everybody out there, resolve the spin as they think they would. And this is something I find interesting. Phil says, let me go in, because they're going into the lion's den pretty much, and he says, let me go in, I'll talk to them, calm them down, make everybody come out peacefully. And he even says, I'll wear a wire so you can hear everything I'm saying. And the detective says, that would work, however there's a problem. And it's revealed at the last panel, as Evil and the boys get out onto the porch, the police have surrounded their hideout. There's a helicopter. So pretty much there's going to be a bloodbath there. And I really like how they did this issue. Again, I think it was a strong issue where it could have been a complete flop and failure. But I think with what they had and what they did, they made a strong issue with, like I said, what could have been a bad issue. And I can't wait to see what they have in store for us moving forward with the story. And I can't wait to see what happens in the next issue. So, alright guys, that's my review on Redneck issue number 10. Now, quick note, if you haven't noticed, I had stopped doing my most anticipated comics of the week, and I just want to ask everybody out there who's watching, do you want me to go back to doing those videos? I haven't done them lately due to the fact that, one, I haven't had enough comics that I'm excited about to make a top 3 to 5 list, and last week I was busy, so I wasn't able to get to it. But please let me know in the comment section down below, do you like my most anticipated comics of the week, or would you be okay if I stopped them and did other videos that I felt were more important? Let me know in the comment section down below. This has been Vision of Blind Entertainment. I will see you next time.